In times of uncertainty, people often turn to the miraculous, seeking signs of hope in the ordinary. Dr. Eileen O'Connor, Faith and Folklore in Modern Ireland, 1998.
In the summer of 1985, something extraordinary happened in Ireland. Across the country, statues of the Virgin Mary were said to move. Some swayed gently, others appeared to glow, and a few even seemed to weep. These events captured the imagination of a nation, drawing thousands of people to small villages and remote chapels in search of a miracle. For many, it was a sign of divine intervention, a message of hope in a time of hardship. Ireland in the 1980s was a country in transition. Economic struggles, high unemployment, and mass emigration had left communities fractured and uncertain about the future. The Catholic Church, once the cornerstone of Irish identity, was beginning to face challenges to its authority. In this context, the moving statues became more than just a religious phenomenon. They were a symbol of unity, faith, and resilience. But what really happened? Were these events genuine miracles, or were they the result of collective imagination? This documentary explores the mystery of the moving statues, delving into the stories of those who witnessed them, the skeptics who questioned them, and the cultural forces that made them possible. This is the story of a nation in awe, searching for meaning in the miraculous.
It began in Ballinspittle, where locals claimed the statue of Mary swayed gently, as if alive. Michael McCarthy, The Ballinspittle Phenomenon, 1986.
The story of the moving statues began in the small village of Ballinspittle, County Cork. On a quiet July evening in 1985, a group of locals gathered at a roadside grotto to pray. As they recited the rosary, something remarkable happened. The statue of the Virgin Mary, which had stood motionless for decades, seemed to sway gently, as if responding to their prayers. Word of the event spread quickly, and within days, hundreds of people were flocking to the site. Witnesses described the statue moving in ways that defied explanation. Some said it leaned forward, others claimed it shimmered or glowed. For the faithful, it was a deeply spiritual experience, a moment of divine connection. But for skeptics, it raised questions. Could it have been an optical illusion, caused by the flickering candlelight or the shadows of the setting sun? Or was it a case of mass hysteria, fueled by the power of suggestion? Whatever the explanation, the events in Ballinspittle marked the beginning of a phenomenon that would sweep across Ireland, captivating the hearts and minds of a nation. The statue had moved, or so it seemed, and nothing would ever be the same again.
The human mind is capable of extraordinary perception, especially when primed by faith and expectation. Dr. Richard Wiseman, Paranormality. Why We See What Isn't There, 2011.
The events in Ballinspittle were just the beginning. As news of the moving statue spread, more and more people came forward with their own stories. Witnesses described seeing the statue sway, lean, or even appear to breathe. For many, these experiences were deeply emotional. Some wept openly, overcome by a sense of divine presence. Others felt a profound sense of peace, as if their prayers had been answered. Psychologists, however, offered a different perspective. They suggested that what people saw might have been a form of collective perception, a shared experience shaped by faith, emotion, and the power of suggestion. When a group of people gathers with a shared belief, they argued, the mind can play tricks, creating the illusion of movement where none exists. But for those who were there, the experience was undeniably real. They saw Mary move, and no amount of scientific explanation could convince them otherwise. The events in Ballinspittle were not just about what people saw. They were about what they felt, what they believed, and what they needed in that moment. Whether it was a miracle or an illusion, it touched something deep within the human spirit, sparking a phenomenon that would soon spread across the country.
By August, reports of moving statues were coming from every corner of Ireland. It was as if the entire nation was caught in a wave of divine intervention. Father Patrick Burke, The Summer of Miracles, 1987.
What began in Ballinspittle quickly spread across Ireland. By August 1985, reports of moving statues were coming from every corner of the country. In towns and villages, from Kerry to Mayo, statues of the Virgin Mary were said to sway, glow, or even weep. Each new sighting brought fresh crowds, eager to witness the miraculous for themselves. The phenomenon became a national sensation, drawing media attention and sparking debates about the nature of faith and belief. For many, the moving statues were a sign of divine intervention, a message of hope in a time of uncertainty. But skeptics were quick to point out the inconsistencies in the reports. Some statues were said to move only when viewed from certain angles or in specific lighting conditions. Others seemed to move only for those who believed they would. Was it a miracle, or was it the power of suggestion? For the faithful, the answer was clear. The statues moved because they believed they did, and no amount of skepticism could change that. The phenomenon was not just about the statues themselves. It was about the people who saw them, the stories they told, and the meaning they found in the miraculous.
The 1980s were a time of great upheaval in Ireland. Economic struggles, emigration, and a growing divide between tradition and modernity. Dr. Siobhan O'Leary, Ireland in Transition, 1995.
The Ireland of the 1980s was a country caught between two worlds. On one hand, it was a nation steeped in tradition, where Catholicism shaped daily life and community values. On the other, it was a country grappling with modernity, as economic hardship forced thousands to emigrate in search of better opportunities. The rural villages, once vibrant with life, were growing quieter, their populations dwindling. In the cities, the younger generation was beginning to question the authority of the Church, challenging its role in shaping Irish identity. It was in this context of uncertainty and change that the moving statues emerged. For many, they were a reminder of Ireland's spiritual roots, a call to return to faith in a time of doubt. The phenomenon brought people together, uniting communities in prayer and hope. But it also highlighted the growing divide between those who clung to tradition and those who sought a new path. The moving statues were not just a religious event, they were a reflection of a nation in transition, searching for meaning and connection in a rapidly changing world. Whether seen as miracles or illusions, they spoke to something deep within the Irish psyche, a longing for stability in a time of upheaval.
Faith is not just about belief, it's about connection, about finding meaning in the face of uncertainty. Dr. Karen Armstrong, The Case for God, 2009.
For many families, the moving statues were more than just a spectacle. They were a source of comfort and connection. In a time when economic struggles and emigration were tearing families apart, the phenomenon brought people together in a shared act of faith. Parents brought their children to the grottos, teaching them to pray and passing on traditions that had been part of Irish life for generations. For the elderly, the statues were a reminder of a simpler time, when faith was the cornerstone of community life. For the young, they were a glimpse into the mysteries of the divine, a moment of wonder in an uncertain world. The grottos became places of pilgrimage, where people from all walks of life gathered to pray, to hope, and to share their stories. Whether or not the statues truly moved, they inspired a sense of unity and belonging that was deeply needed. In the face of hardship, the moving statues became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found. They were not just about belief. They were about the power of faith to bring people together, to heal, and to inspire.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Carl Sagan, The Demon-Haunted World, 1995.
As the reports of moving statues spread, so too did the questions. Could these events really be miracles? Or was there a more rational explanation? Scientists, skeptics, and even some members of the clergy began to investigate. They brought cameras, measuring tools, and scientific methods to the grottos, hoping to uncover the truth. Some pointed to natural explanations, optical illusions caused by flickering candlelight, the effects of wind or shadows, or even the power of suggestion. Others suggested that the phenomenon was a form of mass hysteria, a psychological response to the stress and uncertainty of the times. For the skeptics, the moving statues were a fascinating glimpse into the workings of the human mind. But for the faithful, these investigations missed the point. The statues moved because they believed they did, and no amount of evidence could change that. The debate between faith and skepticism became a microcosm of the larger tensions in Irish society, a clash between tradition and modernity, between belief and reason. In the end, the truth of the moving statues may never be known. But for those who experienced them, the question was never about evidence. It was about faith, and the willingness to believe in something greater than themselves.
The line between faith and delusion is often blurred, especially in moments of collective emotion. Dr. Susan Blackmore, The Psychology of Belief, 2001.
The moving statues sparked a national conversation about the nature of faith and belief. In village squares and churchyards, debates raged between those who saw the phenomenon as a miracle and those who dismissed it as a delusion. Priests spoke of divine intervention, urging their congregations to see the statues as a call to prayer and repentance. Skeptics, on the other hand, argued that the events were a product of human psychology, a collective response to the stress and uncertainty of the times. The debates were often heated, reflecting the deep divisions within Irish society. For some, the moving statues were a test of faith, a challenge to believe in the miraculous even in the face of doubt. For others, they were a reminder of the dangers of blind belief, a cautionary tale about the power of suggestion. But for most, the truth lay somewhere in between. The moving statues were not just about what people saw, they were about what they felt, what they believed, and what they needed in that moment. Whether they were miracles or illusions, they spoke to something universal, the human need for meaning, connection, and hope in the face of uncertainty.
Step into the past and uncover the heart of Ireland. At Emerald Chronicle, we bring you hundreds of captivating documentaries exploring Irish history, myths, legends, and folklore. Our playlists guide you through Ireland's fascinating journey, from prehistoric Ireland, proto-historic and Celtic eras, and the early Christian and Viking periods, to the Anglo-Irish invasion and the lordship of Ireland.
Delve deeper into the Tudor conquest and religious conflicts, the union with Great Britain and the Great Famine, the fight for independence and the divisions of the 20th century, and Ireland's evolution into the 21st century. Best of all, we keep all our documentaries at 15 minutes or less, making it easy to explore Ireland's history, even on a busy day.
Every time you watch, you're supporting the upkeep of our channel. And when you share Emerald Chronicle, you're helping to promote Irish history and culture worldwide. We kindly ask you to like and share, and subscribe to Emerald Chronicle now. Let's keep Ireland's stories alive together.
Miracles are not about proving the existence of God. They are about inspiring faith in those who need it most. Pope John Paul II, homily in Knock, Ireland, 1979.
At the heart of the moving statues phenomenon was a simple truth. Miracles are not about evidence, they are about faith. For the thousands of pilgrims who traveled to the grottos, the statues were a sign of God's presence, a reminder that even in a modern world, the divine could still break through. At places like Knock Shrine, where the Virgin Mary was said to have appeared in 1879, the moving statues became part of a larger tradition of Irish spirituality. Pilgrims lit candles, offered prayers, and left flowers at the feet of the statues, finding solace in the act of devotion. For many, the statues were a source of hope in a time of hardship, a reminder that they were not alone. Whether or not the statues truly moved, they inspired a sense of wonder and connection that was deeply needed. They were not just about belief, they were about the power of faith to heal, to unite, and to inspire. In the end, the moving statues were less about the statues themselves and more about the people who believed in them, and the meaning they found in the miraculous.
The moving statues remind us that faith is not about certainty. It's about the willingness to believe in something greater than ourselves. Dr. Eileen O'Connor, Faith and Folklore in Modern Ireland, 1998.
The summer of 1985 left an indelible mark on Ireland. For a brief moment, the nation was united in awe, wonder, and debate. The moving statues became a symbol of faith, hope, and the enduring power of belief. For the faithful, they were a reminder of God's presence, a sign that miracles could still happen in a modern, skeptical world. For skeptics, they were a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of human perception and the power of collective emotion. But beyond the debates, the moving statues were about something deeper, a longing for connection, meaning, and hope in a time of uncertainty. Today, the grottos where the statues were said to move remain places of quiet reflection. The crowds have long since dispersed, but the stories live on, passed down through generations as part of Ireland's rich tapestry of faith and folklore. The moving statues remind us that belief is not about proof. It's about the willingness to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to find meaning in the mysterious. Whether they were miracles or illusions, they brought people together in a way that few events could. And perhaps that, in itself, is the greatest miracle of all.